At the end of last class, I brought up these 3 concepts about making writing machines. 3 things that you have control over in terms of these writing machines. The code that I showed thus far is essentially random. It's like a random word generator. And today we're gonna look at ways that we can make this a lot more interesting. So the first thing that you have control over is the content. What is actually in your text file? What category of words are you going to be using? How many text files do you have? And we've looked at all of this already through this example. So just as a reminder, we did parts of speech on Tuesday, and we ended up here. Well, we've got a lot of exclamation points going on. Zoom in a little bit, and I'm going to get rid of that. That was a last-minute addition at the end of class. Take that out. And here we have our machine walking through step by step a pronoun, fall verb, fall noun, preposition, conjunction, fall noun, and then punctuation. So we've added a bunch of different categories. So we decided with these categories, because they were parts of speech, that the way we wanted to control them was through a counter. And this is the second, let's say, category, or maybe concept, technique, of the thing that you have control over for your poetry robot, which is when, which is how fast is this robot? How is it slow? Does it have a rhythmic pace? Does it kind of stumble along? And then also the order of the content. So for parts of speech, it makes sense for us to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, taking one word from each category as we move along. But we wouldn't necessarily have to do it this way. We could, as I did in this example, instead, we could pick a category of words. So we could actually provide a selection to the user to say, I want to hear about Halloween. Ghost, scary, very slow. My pace is so slow here. And this is the same code setup, essentially, where we have multiple text files. It's a bit messy, apologies. Clean that up a little bit. But instead of saying, take a word from pumpkin spice latte, then use a counter to take a word from Halloween, then use a counter to take a word from nature, instead what I'm doing is I'm using this object here, which is called the Gswitch. And the Gswitch allows us to select which particular input we want to use. So there's a visual interface for this, so you can see this text file is going into this second inlet here, this text file goes into this third inlet, and so on and so forth. And you can see that as you click on this Gswitch, the line actually moves across to the other text files, and then the output comes out right here. So you can see that right now I'm getting nature words. If I click on this, and now this switch is set to the first, or let's say call it the second inlet, for the first category, now I'm getting pumpkin spice latte words. Now I'm getting Halloween words. So you could do this. This is another way of selecting what kind of content and when that appears. The way that you do this without having to click on the switch is by sending your integer value into the first inlet of this Gswitch. So if I wanted, for example, nature, here, if I put a 0 in here, I'm getting the first inlet. If I put a 1, I'm getting the second inlet. if I put a 2, I'm getting this third inlet. So this starts at 0. This is category 0, category 1, category 2. With a Gswitch, if you make it, by the way, sorry, if you make a Gswitch by typing this in and saying new object, you're only by default going to get 2. But if you want to add more categories or more inlets here, you can do that in the inspector. Open up your inspector down at the bottom. You have an option for number of inputs. You can change this to however many you need. I got a little bit fancy here. Instead of just using an integer, I have grabbed a umenu. This is the umenu object, which allows you to actually enter your own categories and make your own fun drop-down boxes. So if you go in, you open up the inspector, I think it's called menu items. Yeah, down at the bottom, and you type them in separated by commas.